believe in change and we're prepared for it with new techniques and new approaches. And as for our part, we feel that you're the best pieces of manpower available in this whole region.
Let it go out there today, baby.
3, 2, 1.
And once again, our mighty ship is back on course.
Welcome to the Sports Talk with Devin Wade podcast.
Oh, mama, there goes that man. You the man. Ladies and gentlemen, star of our show.
Welcome to another edition of the Sports Talk with Devin Wade podcast. So glad that you are aboard for this one. So glad to have an opportunity to produce more and more content. We're going to get better at that. We're going to keep going, and I'm on it. So I'm rolling by myself tonight. Terrence, Reggie not available, so I'm going solo. But I had to come to you because I have a lot of thoughts, like many folks, about Texans, C.J. Stroud, and the NFL playoffs, and the Patrick Mahomes effect. So you know, a lot of moves that are being made, I think, are a result of Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City not being in the playoffs. And we'll elaborate on that. But first, let me tell you that there are ways for you to be interactive. You can go on Facebook, Sports Talk with Devin Wade group page, and be a part of the group. Post things there. I repost things, and I post things from time to time. Make sure you can catch every edition there, whether it's audio or on YouTube. I post those links all the time on those on that site, on that group page. So and then people share their favorite teams and players and things of that nature. But it's just a great way to interact with the community, and I'm looking forward to that. From time to time, I post poll questions. I think I'm going to do that really, really soon to hear from you guys and get back to some of the things we used to do on the podcast some time ago. We did poll questions. We did take phone calls. Speaking of which, you can call me at 832-941-6614. Leave a message 24 hours a day, and you may very well end up on the podcast. We may play that audio on the podcast. It could be a question, a comment, whatever it is. We like to get you guys involved. Someday we'll go live and we'll take questions like that. But to do that, I need a lot more subscribers. So if you are watching me on YouTube, or if you want to support the visual part of the podcast, go to YouTube to the Devin Wade? I guess it would help if I knew Devin Wade, at Devin Wade, that channel. But you can just look up Sports Talk with Devin Wade. Then from there, go to the channel, subscribe. When we get a certain amount of subscribers, we can go live. I can do Facebook if I wanted to. I could do Instagram. I hadn't wanted to do that yet, but you guys give me some feedback on that, whether it's in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and comment on all of those things. It really helps, and it gives us an indication of what you like, what you want to hear more of, and what you're feeling. So I know we have a lot of Texans fans out there, so I do want to get into that, but we're down to just 3 more football games. The national championship game was last night, and we'll get into that. But I also want to remind you guys, and I mentioned this last time out, about to do the rebrand. I have not chosen a date for the rebrand, but it's coming, and that will not change a lot because we'll still talk primarily sports, but it will open up opportunities for me to talk about whatever else I want to talk about, because I have a lot to say about a lot of stuff. And I think we have a lot of really interesting people who check this out, who may be interested in a variety of different topics. As you know, this is a great way to have community in lieu of community. And, you know, if you don't have that real community, this is a great way. And what's great about it is you don't have to leave your home. You could do it while you're on the treadmill. You can be anywhere in the country and be a part of something special, and that's this group. I will be asking for you to contribute in some ways to help us sustain ourselves and do more, because there's a lot more I would like to do. Obviously, my day job, KTSU, keeps me quite busy, and we're doing a lot more visual stuff there as well where I am. We've been on that path, but I'm doing a lot more visual things as well. So getting used to being in front of the camera and the lights more. Shout out to Nate Griffin, Fox 26, who frequently has me on. That helps me out a lot, and I think over time I've gotten better. So there's that. So shout out to all of you guys. Thank you for checking me out. whether it's on the visual, and even you guys can give me feedback. Are you still? I get more hits on the audio than I do on the video. So I don't know if everybody's made the conversion or people just would rather hear me than see me. I mean, that's a distinct possibility. So there's that. But I was told that people want to see, people like visuals on podcasts. So we're doing that. And we'll continue to do so. And I have some great ideas and some great concepts for some things I want to do that I think will be very fun and fun ways for us to interact. So let's get to it. I took 3 pages of notes on the game the other day. Texans lose, and it was a very, very, very awful first half. Now, here's what happened in Pittsburgh, and we've had these conversations on KTSU Sports Talk and probably here on this podcast. Didn't think we would see a repeat of how bad C.J. Stroud was in Pittsburgh, but it was worse, and it all happened in a half. And so now the Sharks are coming for CJ, and all of the national media, they're going for him now. They're going at him. The criticism is huge and deserved in some ways and not as deserved in other ways. Because, look, some of the things that they are criticizing him for, he's been doing for years, and he was doing the same sort of thing even when he had a bunch of success. And not that he didn't have success this year. Obviously, he's not been able to duplicate what he did his rookie year. But his body language and his sulking and his emoting or lack thereof, depending on the circumstance, it's been a topic of conversation. Do you remember we talked about this before? And I really posed the question because I just didn't understand it. And because I didn't understand it, I did not want to be super critical. But he did something I'd never seen ever, ever, ever. And we've seen a couple things like that lately, but he was so emotionally devastated by the injury to Tank Dell last year in Kansas City. He was in tears. He was literally in tears. And my instinct was to say, you can't do it. You just can't do it. You're the leader of men. You can't do it. But I did not say that because people were like, no, man, that is just the nature of it. And he loved his teammate. And that's his boy. And they're close. And, to see him suffer like that was emotional. This is during a game, right? Never seen anything like it. And so I posed the question. And everybody had his back. And that's fine. And it appeared to be a generational thing to me. And just the body language, he always looks that way. And now people are really noticing that with the struggles in the playoffs, and they're being critical. No, I don't think that is fair. That part I don't think is fair because that's the same way. He's the same way. He's not Caleb Williams. He's not a fiery like Tom Brady. He's not the same kind of leader. But this is a generation of young men as well. So I don't know what to make of that. So I generally leave that alone. I don't know where the blame totally lies with his lack of growth at the quarterback position. He's had the coordinators. Caley has come in this year. He did not have his rookie year last year. And I don't know, you come in and you have all of this success and you think, okay, that's just the way it's supposed to be. And it's only going to get better from here. And you don't see that as much. You see guys take steps back. You think it's going to be linear. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And it doesn't always go that way. And it hadn't gone that way for C.J. Stroud. Does that mean that he can't get back to some semblance of his rookie year? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But they have to, as an organization, figure that out. Now they have to make a decision on picking up the 5th-year option. I think you got to do it. No brainer, you're going to try to lock Will Anderson down as long as you can. We'll get into the contract part of it as well. So, took notes at halftime. This is what I said because I wanted to the couple things that stood out. How Mike Vrabel sort of mismanaged the end of the half. They didn't even get a field goal attempt. Instead, they threw a Hail Mary into the end zone. It was intercepted. But at the half, it was 21-10. That game is not over despite the fact that CJ was playing so awful. It was demoralizing, except that defense never gets demoralized. They keep coming. No matter what, they keep coming. So you go out at the third quarter. This is what I said. I said the game is not over in all caps. Because quite frankly, it wasn't. Drake May and sort of the futility of that New England offense teamed with the success of that Texans defense, that game was not over, right? So I said, and this is what I wrote in real time, I would give CJ one more time, one more chance, one more turnover, because it has so many more ramifications if you pulled him. Say if you pull him and Davis Mills goes on to win that game. What are you as an organization now? You know the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. You have to have a guy. I'm still old school enough to believe that you have to have one guy. And the one guy is CJ Stroud. It boils down to this. Do you think you can win a Super Bowl with Davis Mills? If you thought that, he'd be your starter day one. Could he come in and do what he did for 3 games, 3-game winning streak? He can. Do you think, does this organization think that he can lead this team to the Super Bowl? Well, you clearly got your answer. So if that's the answer, I mean, what do you do if he comes in and wins, right? Or comes in and just plays really, really well, puts up more points? What do you do as an organization? Now your whole situation is in chaos. If you win, you go to Denver. You didn't know this, but you would end up playing against well, I guess you would have known that you would play against a backup quarterback and Jared Stidham. But do you start him backup to backup? Or do you come back and say CJ Stroud? Now your locker room is like, oh no. You know, how do we handle that? Who is our guy? What do we do? We're answering all these questions. Is it a game time decision? Do we plan to play both? There was no way you could play Davis Mills. You got to go down with the ship. If this is your guy and he's been your guy, you got to roll with him, even if it costs you. However, if he would have had one more turnover, you owed it to the rest of the team to replace him. But he came out and completed his first 3 passes, got it together. No one is talking about this, but the Woody Marks fumble was the death knell. They were driving. He fumbles the football. And that pretty much, I mean, it didn't do it because they still were in the game. But that was a devastating blow as well. Have not seen nearly as much criticism of the Woody Marks situation. Now, obviously, he's a rookie, and it happens. And it just compounds what was an awful day, an ugly day of football. 8 turnovers in that game. But at the end of the day, look, at halftime of that game, the Texans had rushed the ball 12 times for 8 yards. It reminded me of a couple years ago when they went to Buffalo, when they were one-dimensional. That's another reason why you take some of the blame off of CJ. Now, there's no great secret here in Houston that I did not want the Texans to draft CJ Stroud with their first pick. I wanted Will Anderson. That's who I thought they should pick. They went Stroud and were lucky enough to get Will Anderson in the very next pick with a trade. So it worked out great because Will Anderson is the dude. Danielle Hunter, those guys combined are incredible. So, that was the right pick, right? And, so from that standpoint, I was never on board with him. Then he had this, I remember going out just like yesterday. I went out to one of the early practices of training camp, and he threw 2 picks, and I think like 3 were dropped. It was just an awful day, and I left there saying, yeah, he's not ready. Body language, he's not ready. Just the way he moves, he's a little in over his head. He's not ready. Came out and had one of the best rookie quarterback seasons of all time. So, you can't go by his body language. And he was ready, and he got the job done. Since then, he's sort of gone backwards. But again, also in that game, Dalton Schultz got hurt after a reception early on in that game. No Nico Collins, no starting right tackle. Then the backup gets hurt. Titus Howard went out for a play and came back. So, I mean, they went through a lot. And I think the biggest injury that hurt them offensively all year long was a guy they did not have all year long, and I'm talking about Joe Mixon. So that was a big loss to begin with. I think that changed the whole complexion of the offense. And although Woody Marks came along Chubb had contributions. He was never, he's not the Chubb of Cleveland days. And I mean, he was a viable backup, veteran backup. And Woody Marks came along. Joe Mixon was a big time force in his league and is when he's healthy. Still don't quite know what it is. Hadn't seen him. Hadn't been around the team. Don't know. And I'll just leave it at that. I've not even heard. So there no even, you're bad man when there not even any rumors about you. So that's the situation. So they lose that game. And the tough part about that is it is going to be hard to duplicate that same kind of defensive performance. Now, I was looking, and they have a bunch of guys here that have some contract issues. Like Christian Kirk is on the offensive side. He's done. Now, your defensive interior, that's where you have some problems. The Nico Autry, free agent. Fatukasi is Fatukasi is a free agent. Tim Settle, who had a nice play, he is a free agent. Sheldon Rank is the scoop and score guy. He is a free agent. Jimmy Ward on that defensive side of football, even though you didn't have him the whole season, he is a guy that's a veteran presence. So while I think the nucleus is there, it's hard to replicate what they were able to do as a team. And the changing landscape, everything in the NFL is going to change. But let me say this, at the end of the day, you got to pick up the 5th-year option and then ride this thing out. And if you want to try to address it, address it. But we know either you have something at quarterback or you have almost nothing. And you look at teams like Pittsburgh, what are they going to do? What they wouldn't give next year if Aaron Rodgers doesn't return, and he probably won't. So what they wouldn't give for a C.J. Stroud. So you got to hold on to him. Is he a guy that can get you to the Super Bowl? This would have been the year to do it, but I think that they still need more help. Like you need that maturity to develop with those rookie receivers, Noel and Higgins. I think Higgins is going to be a nice one. Then, you got Nico coming back. Unfortunate. He had the concussion, couldn't play. You got to add a wide receiver at some point, and you have to find a way to get something more out of the backfield. Is it going to be Woody Marks? Obviously, you need depth on the offensive line. Can never have enough of that. And you just need to build around CJ in whatever way you can. And that's going to be the case for a lot of these quarterbacks. Think about the people that are faced with the same dilemma. Lamar Jackson, you got to figure out what kind of coach are you going to have in Baltimore to help him run the ship, right? Because they had their problems. Their problems, I think, primarily were defensive, and I wouldn't have fired Jim Harbaugh anyway. But that was done. That goes to something else that I'll talk about in just a second. But, what do you do in Miami? You are really stuck with him. You have to find a way. You bring in a defensive coach, but what are you going to do? So, like the key is you have to have the quarterback whisperer. And you see the growth and the exponential explosion in production of Caleb Williams. Now that he has Ben Johnson, everybody wants to replicate that. And we'll see what they do. Do they fire Caleb? I don't know. Do you want to bring in another offensive coordinator for him? You talk about another guy with the same problem, Jalen Hurts. 6 or 7 offensive coordinators. Just year after year, it's just turnover for one reason or another. And, still he rises. Obviously they did not get the production out of the running game in Philadelphia, but still, had his chances to the very end. A.J. Brown didn't help him. He didn't help him out. So now you look around the NFL with an anticlimactic AFC Championship game. And I will tell you this about that. As this lingers, you can kind of trick yourself into thinking it could be a game. Oh, Sean Payton, who I cannot stand for the way he treated Russell Wilson. But he's a quarterback whisperer. He's a guy that can scheme an offense and make up for shortcomings. So we'll have to see. The defense is good. Drake May was less than impressive. And although you attribute some of his problems to the weather, he'll have to go to Denver and hold on to the football. If that Denver defense can come up with a couple turnovers, create short fields. Who knows? I'm trying to convince myself that it's a game. So there's that. On the other side in the NFC, I have never seen anything like the play Caleb Williams made. And I have relatives in Chicagoland, in Evanston, and I'm telling you, they were bonkers over Caleb Williams and his Bears team because it's found money. It's something you didn't expect this soon. There were no expectations on this team. And that is the best time to get in and really enjoy your team. Like, to hell with it. We have nothing to lose. And you ride the wave, and you have a couple huge comebacks versus Green Bay, one in the regular season, one in the playoffs, and then nearly another one. What about that play? I mean, unbelievable play by Caleb Williams to run backwards 20 yards, still just turn around and slang that thing all the way to the back of the end zone for the touchdown. You thought it was going to be a magical ride, just like you did for Ole Miss. The only one that completed the magical ride was Indiana and Mendoza last night. And again, entertaining game. And Mendoza did what he had to do, but that game also came down to the fact that missed field goal, block punt for a touchdown. There you go. Now, could Mendoza have manufactured a comeback and a score? I mean, anything could have happened, but you take 10 points off the board, or like a 14-point turnaround, a swing. You go from and I won't say that. I will say you give them 7 points, and that missed field goal, which was not super long. You had to make that, and they didn't. And there you have it. But what I thought, man, Indiana, what a story. Somebody asked me, do you think they'll be back? You think this team will be in the mix? No, I don't. I think Ohio State will be back. I think Michigan will be back. I think the rest of the teams around the Big Ten, Penn State, they'll be back. So, I mean, enjoy. But this is going to be another Rudy Hoosiers type story where we're going to remember I was alive to see Cignetti lead Indiana to a national championship. So there's that, and I know that my boy Reg, I didn't talk to him today. I know he's woefully disappointed. As a Miami native, he roots hard for the U. I don't know if you remember this from the podcast when every week he was talking about the U, and I'm like, bro, we are not talking. Nobody's feeling the U, man. Michael Irvin's not walking through that door, except he is with dreads, and he'll be on the sideline like he was last night. But I'll say this, he was talking about the U before anybody else was. But let me get back to the NFL and talk about the Pat Mahomes effect. Because now Josh Allen fails again, didn't get it done. Onus is on him. He took full responsibility for that, as he should. And, of course, they wouldn't be there without him. But they aren't there now with him. And that got Sean McDermott fired. Jim Harbaugh fired. Mike Tomlin walks away. Now, to varying degrees, these things are unrelated. But I think a lot of people looked at it. And I know here in Houston, I looked at it. I said it. I said, now the big bad wolf is gone. This thing is wide open. And the expectation on Baltimore, I mean, I can go back to a video we posted on social media for KTSU. Half the people picked the Texans or Baltimore. It was Baltimore's. I mean, I picked Kansas City, and I was going to ride with them until they lost. But a lot of people were on Baltimore. This was supposed to be their breakout year, breakthrough year, with Kansas City falling short, not even making a playoff. This is supposed to be the Buffalo Bills year. And when that didn't happen, people were so disappointed. And I'm not saying that these things are directly related. Boy, but that Mahomes effect is so real. People are going to look at this like the Jordan years when he stepped away and the Rockets won the championship. People are like, well, he's gone now. It's anybody's championship. Well, I believe the Rockets would have won even had he played. In the second year, he did play in the playoffs and lost. So let's not forget that. Oh, yeah, he came back late in the season. Why? Yeah, okay, that happened. He played. He didn't get there. We were there. And I say we because in Houston, your team wins the championship, you can say we. Any other time, I have to maintain my professionalism as a media member, and this is not Duval County. No shade. And if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, that's for other shows. They already talked about that. So, but I just think that the expectations were heightened after Pat Mahomes went down. No Chiefs, this thing is wide open. Or, a lot of people thought that no matter if he was there, this is time to topple the champion. Well, they never got there, and the expectations were elevated. Even Baltimore, they had other issues defensively, and then Lamar being hurt. It's going to be wide open. Robert Saleh takes the Tennessee job. That's not going to be good for the Texans. Indianapolis, I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback because Jones, I don't think he'll be ready for day one. So week one, don't know what. I mean, there's so many questions that'll keep us busy in the offseason. But what do you think of CJ Stroud? Give us a call. 832-941-6614. 832-941-6614. Unbelievable that, these teams, you would say, man, look, you had the big three. And then you had Houston just outside of that knocking on the door. Then you had a few teams that hoped. Cincinnati had hope. You talk about Indianapolis, what they had no hope even coming into the season. Just got off to an incredible start with an incredible collapse. But you had the big three, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. Okay, one is gone. So now the other two great quarterbacks in the AFC had a chance. Cincinnati, you hope, but no, they got the quarterback, can't stay healthy. They have their own issues. Tua in Miami, no. Mike McDaniel's out. Again, that is not as much related to it being a Mahomes effect, but people saw a wide open opportunity, and you know who's going to seize it? Probably New England, and ultimately maybe Sam Darnold in Seattle, who, by the way, I think I'm picking. Although those divisional games, man, you meet them for the third time, you never know how it's going to go. I can tell you this, the Rams aren't scared. Stafford, who did not play well, when they needed to make a play, they made a play. And I do put the blame of the interception on DJ Moore, by the way. If as I skip around, going back to the Chicago Rams game in overtime, Moore was to blame for that interception, not Caleb Williams. But boy, Caleb Williams is the real deal. I mean, and I saw him with both of those comebacks versus Green Bay, and this one play topped all of that. I mean, this play, and especially had they won, this play, you're still going to see this. I mean, for years to come. What an incredible play. Last play of the game, no hope. 4th down and 4. You run backwards 20 yards. That's what you got to love about football. And I would say this during like playoff football. Sometimes I just, you watch the game, you're like, man, I just love the game of football. So many things to love about it, even when it breaks your heart like it did for a lot of Texans fans. It's going to be tough, man. But the Texans, again, I go back to this saying, I want to say it was the manager for the Atlanta Braves used to say that, Bobby Cox. I think that this is attributed to him. Said you build your cabin as close to the summit. You pitch your tent as close to the summit as you can, and you make a run for it every year. And I think the Texans are going to be in that space again. I think the organization really has no choice but to back CJ Stroud. It will be interesting to see what happens the first home game. He struggles. Do the Boo Birds come out? And then can he handle that? I think he can. Do I think he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? I don't have any belief in that. But he makes plays sometimes, and I think that they can do some things creatively to help him. But surely, whatever happened this postseason, he just did not get it done, and it's disappointing. But the team has no choice but to say with their whole entire chest that they support this guy, and they're gonna have to ride with him. And now you got to sign some guys, and you have an opportunity. I don't know, you got to draft well again. You got to keep the guys you think that you can keep on that defensive front. and you just keep adding pieces, depth on the offensive line, running back position. I wouldn't think that Chubb is going to be back. Christian Kirk, who had 144 yards versus Pittsburgh, he won't be back. I don't think. And so now you have another opportunity. They had Berrios, who did return some stuff, some punts for in the postseason, but he was out pretty much all year long. And so you get another opportunity, another roster spot there. Will Tank Dell come back? I would tend to say no. I don't think he can. I don't know. I haven't asked. I have fellow media members who probably know the answer to that a little bit more than I do. But just, can he be who he was? Maybe. And, so you root for the young man, and we'll see. But I don't anticipate him being what he was for this offense when they were really rolling before he got hurt. So there's that. So, a lot going on in the NFL. Who you got? AFC Championship. I said all of that about Denver and maybe the possibility that they cover the spread. But Drake May is going to have to rebound. If he doesn't get it done, now they're going to be different conversations about him. But see, I just thought that a lot of things got swept under the rug when the Texans were having success. But the body language of C.J. Stroud has been a thing. And so I won't jump on him for that. Got to protect the football, man. You have to protect the football. If he's not the guy that can do that, I don't anticipate this happening again. But I didn't anticipate it happening in New England after it happened in Pittsburgh. So you guys tell me, you rolling with C.J. Stroud or you not rolling with him? 832-941-6614. So for the record, I will take Seattle at home. Well, that running game was really going. Walker the third. But look, now they're going to miss Charbonnet. He's out for the year. So another crucial, but that's depth at running back for them. He was a guy, and, I know him because of DraftKings, of course. He was a very productive guy. He's done. But I'm still taking Seattle. But, hey, you can't count out who I think will be the MVP, Matt Stafford and Nakua and, Devontae Adams. Can't count those guys out. So that should be interesting. So won't go too much longer. Just wanted to jump in and get in on all of this. Going to check out the Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs tonight. Of course, I got KTSU Sports Talk on Saturday. That the new rollout for the new podcast is coming. But if you want some merch, I got some stuff for sale, and you can make a contribution to get you some swag before. Just beautiful. And I talked about beautiful coffee mug. Wouldn't you like to have your morning Joe out of Sports Talk with Devin Wade coffee mug? I do it most mornings I do. So you can get that. I got some T-shirts. And it's just a way to support what we do here. Helps me with equipment and little things and fees and stuff that you have to do to make sure that you are available on platforms for your entertainment. And I truly hope that you guys are entertained. I did get me a new bottle of bourbon. I got an old Granddad 114. Haven't had it yet. Sort of a dry January. Unintentional. Not totally a dry January, but it's been dry for a while now. And yeah, so we're holding out on that. But I have some new bottles that I have not tried, and I do want to talk about that. And you know what? Coffee too. Big coffee. Cousin Keith. Hey, I got to get with Cousin Keith on the coffee thing. I have some questions about coffee, and maybe we'll talk about that in this space. Maybe. What do you want to talk about? Because now, once I do the rebrand, I can. I do anyway, but I can. What do you want to? What you want me to go in on? Let's do this. What do you guys want to hear, and how can we engage? And also, if you have a suggestion for a venue in the greater Houston area, shoot it to me. You know somebody that would have a cool space for a live podcast, let me know. I'll ask you guys. I have some things, some suggestions that people have already given me, but I want to hear from you guys. Where you want to go? Maybe we can all convene and do a live podcast. And again, hear from some of the voices that you always hear from or have heard from in the past in this space. Looking forward to that. But again, 832-941-6614. And on Facebook, Sports Talk with Devin Wade group. send me messages, give me feedback, let me know what you like, what you don't like. Shout out to everybody who's taking time out to support me and subscribe and listen to every episode. I certainly appreciate it. Getting out of here, I know there's some things I didn't cover here, and like I said, we're gonna get into a bunch of stuff. This is gonna be a very busy off season, but we got 3 more games left, and then the Super Bowl. And we'll come to you before the Super Bowl for sure and talk about Bad Bunny and whatever else. No, we will not be talking about Bad Bunny, but we will be talking about the Super Bowl and more. Till next time, hey, thank you so much. And please remember these 4 things.
Number 1, I don't do no favors after 6 o'clock in the evening. 2, I ain't got no money. 3, I'm not harboring any fugitives from justice. And 4, bye.
This has been the Sports Talk with Devin Wade podcast. Remember, you can follow him on Twitter at Wade's Word. Thank you for listening.
We believe in change and we're prepared for it with new techniques and new approaches. And as for our part, we feel that you're the best pieces of manpower available in this whole region.
Let it go out there today, baby.
3, 2, 1.
And once again, our mighty ship is back on course.
Welcome to the Sports Talk with Devin Wade podcast.
Mama, there goes that man.
You the man.
Ladies and gentlemen,